Jai Hind, Admiral Robin Dhawan, former Chief of Naval Staff, Admiral General Pant, National Cyber Security Coordinator, General Lamba, former Vice Chief of Army Staff, distinguished guests on the dais and in the audience, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, it's my proud privilege to be invited by SAMDES to address you at this gathering. Cyber is a subject which is very close to our hearts, and I think the prelude or the background which Admiral Dhawan and the National Cyber Security Coordinator have portrayed in front of us covers a wide canvas. It tells you exactly what are the issues where we need to guard against and how we need to guard against. I think I will just leave you with a few set of statements initially, and thereafter I will dwell upon them, and whatever I dwell upon in this small time which I have, I will use the Ukraine conflict as a sort of background to illustrate some examples. Now, first thing is that there is nothing which is absolutely safe in the cyber world. Either you have been hacked, or which possibly you are aware or you are not aware. Second is that if you have not been hacked, it is not because the hacker did not want to hack you. It is just that you are not target worthy. It's like you would have heard of the example that there was a software called Pegasus. All of us are not Pegasus worthy, so that's why we are not hacked. Second thing is that anything which we create, like all the softwares, applications, whatever we use, they are all created by human beings, very intelligent human beings. So there are equally intelligent set of human beings who may not be in the right frame of mind, but they are looking at vulnerabilities in this all the time. And they are trying to discover these vulnerabilities and trying to get into your systems. The motivation could be multiple. From a lower point of view, it starts with cybercrime, financial motivation. It could start with the motivation which is to do with socio-political affiliations. And as a nation state, it could be to bring punitive damage or effects on a nation when I want to do it. So these could be the motivations of the actors. General Pant made it very clear that in this cyber world, it's a massively asymmetric battle where the advantage lies in favor of the attacker. Why? Because you just require an endpoint, not even a laptop. You can have a small, simple phone, a good internet connection, some set of tools which are freely available on the net. Attribution is extremely difficult because there are no laws, there are no treaties, and it is inherently difficult the way the internet is structured. And the amount of resource which an attacker puts and the kind of effects which he can bring down. He mentioned that there are some small hackers who put the governments to trouble. So that's the asymmetry which you achieve with this kind of stuff. Now, if you look at a classic battle, I mean, you look at the Ukraine conflict, it's a battle which is happening in the modern arena where you have the Russian side and the Western side aiding Ukraine. Both sides are very powerful, and it's below the conventional threshold. Before the actual operation started, the cyber and the information war had been going on almost from the time of Crimea, that's 2014. In cyber, we have to understand that the war is not going to be like a conventional kinetic war which we all understand. It's not going to be one-on-one that I fire a shell, you fire a shell on me or something like that. It's going to be more counter value. That means you create some effect which affects me, and I will create a pain point for you somewhere else. It may not be a physical damaging kinetic action on you, but I will create an effect. For example, about 2 years back, Air India's ticketing system, which was running on SITA, went down for 5 hours. It cost the nation 500 crores. That 5 hours cost the nation approximately 500 crores and massive loss of reputation. So it was a pain which went on to our taxpayers. If I were to encrypt the billing system of a, let's say, we get power from Tata Power in Delhi. It's very easy that, someone comes there, he just encrypts the billing system, the billing data. Now, Tata Power doesn't know whom to bill. So probably there are 5,000-6,000 crores of bills outstanding. Where will he get that money from? So you've, in one stroke, by some ransomware attack or some encryption kind of an attack, you've imposed a 6,000 crores pain on that country. Now, if we were to, we noticed in the last 1.5, 2 years, there have been many instances where surprisingly our power grid suffered some failures. Now, General Pant mentioned that the supercritical sectors are power and telecom. Now, if power comes down, we are so inherently dependent on electrical energy for all our day-to-day processes today, not only in India, all over the world, that there is a huge economic loss for that outage or for that period which happens. So cyber warfare is more counter value. So this is what we have to understand. It's not going to be a standalone warfare. Standalone warfare means, as General Pant also mentioned, that the D-Day is today. We are at a perpetual state of war, and that's the status on ground. All major countries are at a state of war. There is massive amount of espionage going on. The cyber weapons have to be pre-positioned. It is not something which you just launch when something happens. So you have to think over it many, many years back. Now, where can I cause the pain points? If I can cause, the pain points are the critical information infrastructure. And just at the cost of reiteration, what are those critical information infrastructure? It is not only for India, it is for any country in the world. So whether it is your telecom networks, whether it is your energy systems, especially the power grids, whether it is your transportation networks, whether it is railway networks, whether it is the billing network of the railways, or it is the signaling network of the railways, or the control networks, your metro lines, your everything, your transportation is completely dependent on the cyberspace. You look at your banking and financial systems, your stock exchanges, your financial tech markets, healthcare sector, defense, aerospace, major industries. Now, any impact on all this can cause massive loss to the economy. A new dimension which I want to introduce to all of you is we are all human beings finally. And wars are not fought in the arena, they are fought in our minds. And as Chanakya had said that if I can subjugate the will of the enemy to fight, I've won the war without firing a bullet. So if we look at the cognitive dimension or the cyber-enabled war which is happening in the cognitive space today, where I'm creating effects, I am creating a narrative, I'm making you believe what I am trying to say, and I'm making you certain things because you want to do it. We saw how social media campaigns have tried to malign results of elections or the democratic processes which we hold close to our heart. We have seen how national security situations have been created by having people doing Shaheen Bagh kind of andolans in Delhi. We have seen how from external actors outside the country, whether they had motivation inside the country, whether they had motivation from outside the country, but they all got together on the cyberspace, which is a global common, and created a situation where people were motivated to do what they were doing in the Kisan Andolan. The Delhi was on its feet. We have seen how there was a flash riot created out of nowhere against our northeastern brothers and sisters by propagating certain false things on the social media. When this Agniveer scheme was announced, we saw that for first 3-4 days there was nothing. And suddenly out of the blue, the trains started burning all over India. There were riots. People participated who were not even involved with that. How did it happen? Social media today is an extremely powerful tool. We have heard even American presidents talk that American election results have been manipulated by social media. So the cognitive domain is getting very, very powerful. So if I can motivate my target audience to do a certain set of actions by cyber-enabled social media, which is there today, I think with a very low cost, I have achieved a lot of what I want to do, which I couldn't have achieved kinetically. So that's something which we'll have to keep in mind. And since India is a very diversified society, where we have multiple divisions based on our religion, ethnicities, and we take pride in our diversity. That's how it should be. And we are also a democratic country. So these two issues are generally, which are easily exploitable by our adversaries. And I can tell you in all honesty that Pakistan runs a very, very big propaganda machinery just to target this. And they are aided and abetted in all their designs by other actors who are inimical to our interests. How was the Khalistan movement born? Or how is the Khalistan movement being sustained? So you have referendums going on in Melbourne. Sometimes you have a referendum going on in Canada. Suddenly out of nowhere, the flash crowds appear. It's entirely the doing of cyber-enabled social media. Now coming to how we see the lessons learned in the Ukraine war, what will happen in the future battles. I'm just going to come down to a slight drill down from a Fauji's perspective. Now what happened, something very unique happened in the Ukraine conflict. Today, all the internet traffic that we have in the country today is piped through internet service providers. And as General Pant mentioned, that those internet service providers are under the sovereign control of the government of India. That means we have jurisdiction over that. Now, so we can possibly monitor what is going on for good and bad. Now came Starlinks. He launched a constellation of satellites to continue to provide internet connectivity to the Ukrainians. Now every man from his handheld device is directly linking to an internet terminal, which is bypassing all the national controls. It could very well happen to us in the future. If we look at the Indian cyberspace, what has happened is that all the social media which we use, and we are the most prolific users of social media in the world, whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, our youth are hooked to it. All these social medias, unfortunately, are of Western origin. We have seen in the Ukraine conflict, big tech has taken sides. What you see is what they want you to see. So the narratives which you see will not be the actual narratives, but it will be something